North Korea is preparing to send more troops to war against Ukraine. Are we expecting new meat assaults and newly captured prisoners? What are the prospects of North Korean troops in the war? Let's figure it out. Around November-December of last year, Russia began to actively involve North Korean troops alongside its own. Russians made efforts to conceal the presence of North Korean soldiers. During their training, they were prohibited from revealing their faces. The Russian military also attempted to erase any video evidence of their involvement. Moreover, when the first casualties occurred, the Russians went so far as to physically burn the faces of deceased North Korean soldiers in an apparent effort to hide their identities. This should shock someone, but we have already seen the atrocities of the Russians many times. They do not spare either the enemy or their own, the essence of Russians as it is. A few weeks ago, President Volodymyr Zelensky released a video showing the interrogation with a pair of North Korean soldiers. They said that they had been misled, supposedly sent for military training. However, the reality turned out to be different. One of the prisoners was found with a Russian military ID issued under the name of another individual registered in Russia. The ID was issued in the fall of 2024. During their deployment, the North Korean soldiers had been coordinating their actions with Russian forces. The second prisoner had no identification documents at all. He corroborated his comrade's testimony. Preliminary information indicates he was born in 1999 and has been serving in the North Korean Army as a sniper reconnaissance officer since 2016. President Zelensky has made a direct appeal to the North Korean leader. He said that Ukraine is ready to hand over Kim Jong-un's soldiers to him if he can organize their exchange for Ukrainian warriors who are being held captive in Russia. If Kim Jong-un even remembers about these citizens and can organize an exchange for our soldiers held in Russia, we can transfer such soldiers. Ukrainian government officials claim that North Korea has deployed about 11,000 soldiers to Russia's Kursk region. It is still difficult to say whether all of them have no idea what is happening and where they have actually been sent. One thing we can say for sure is that the Russians do not spare their North Korean comrades. And given the outdated training of North Korean soldiers, the number of casualties among them will only increase. Ukrainian military observes that North Korean tactics display a mix of both weakness and bravery, with their primary strength being good physical conditioning. Notably, they avoid relying on drones and are often seen wearing peculiar, somewhat amusing hats. They handle their weapons as if wielding Mosin Nagant rifles, suggesting that their strategies have remained largely unchanged for the past 70 years. Western officials have said that North Korean troops have already suffered nearly 40% casualties in the fighting in Russia's western Kursk region in just 3 months. Of the 4,000, around 1,000 are believed to have been killed by mid-January. Military officials in South Korea say that North Korea is preparing to send more soldiers to fight against Ukraine. The claim that Pyongyang could be planning to increase its support for the Kremlin came as Donald Trump suggested he would attempt to rekindle his relationship with Kim Jong-un, describing the North Korean leader as a smart guy.
He's not a religious zealot. He happens to be a smart guy. Kim Jong-un is a smart guy.
Another problem for Ukraine is that North Korea plans to transfer at least 150 KN-23 short-range ballistic missiles to the Russians, as well as artillery shells and systems. The head of the main intelligence directorate, Kirilo Budanov, reported that over the past 3 months, North Korea has transferred to Russia about 121,989 Koksan self-propelled artillery guns and 121,991 240mm multiple launch rocket systems. The DPRK is expected to send at least the same amount of this equipment to the Russians. For now, North Korean soldiers are being used by the Russians simply to increase the size of their troops. Primitive tactics make them cannon fodder. Many videos show North Koreans attacking in waves. In fact, these are just meat assaults. Recently, information has emerged that North Korean troops have disappeared from the front line. Ukraine's Special Operations Forces confirmed that North Korean troops have not been observed in Russia's Kursk region for approximately 3 weeks, likely due to significant battlefield losses. Still, American officials believe that despite the withdrawal, North Korean forces could return after additional training, or if a new strategy is devised to reduce casualties. We hope these videos might serve as a warning to other North Koreans, illustrating that the so-called military training trips promised by the Russians are far from what they seem. By the way, there is already information that North Koreans fake sickness to avoid being drafted in Russia's war against Ukraine. Families are reportedly spending over 100 times the average monthly salary to secure fraudulent tuberculosis diagnoses in an effort to keep their male relatives from being sent to the front lines. Well, they probably draw some conclusions after all. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for the latest updates from Ukraine.